All right, this is a fun one. Never Trump Republican strategist Tim Miller of the Bulwark utterly destroyed Tomi Lahren, a MAGA Republican Fox News host, in a heated debate about Donald Trump and Vice President Harris. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video. I'm something of a fan of Tim Miller. He's a lifelong conservative Republican, but in the age of Trump, he has moderated somewhat and he has become an outspoken never Trump critic. And the principal, I think he's the editor-in-chief at this point of the Bulwark, which is an organization for centrist and conservative Republicans who are never Trump. So he is fighting the good fight. Well, he recently had a debate with Tomi Lahren of the Fox Propaganda Network. She is a MAGA Republican, one of the preeminent MAGA Republicans. And he humiliated her, I mean, in brutal fashion. You should definitely check out the entire conversation because he did get the better of her. But we're going to play some select moments because otherwise we'd be here for 2 hours. But here's some clips from that exchange, and we'll unpack them piecemeal together.
Listen, there were some technical issues. Elon Musk says that this wasn't because of, their infrastructure. More so it was some kind of a cyber threat or a cyber attack, which they can't do anything about.
I'm sure.
Oh, you don't think that that's possible?
I'm sure. Oh, yeah. All the rest of Twitter worked except for the space. I'm sure it was a cyber attack. It was the same screw up that happened with Ron DeSantis. Maybe he just shouldn't have fired all his engineers. Maybe it was as simple as that. But, who cares? I don't know. I mean, the substance of it wasn't that much better either. It's like, great. 1 billion people, listened to Donald Trump talk about how he thought Kamala looked hot on the cover of Time. I don't think that that's like really a winning message. And, I think that just speaks to kind of his obsession right now. He's a man that's down there. He's aggrieved. He's jealous of all the attention she's getting. He's lashing out at her looks, saying he doesn't know what race she is, attacking her, saying she's not really black or she tried to turn black. I just don't think this appeals to anybody except like a small group of, MAGA weirdos who really kind of are obsessed with this infighting culture war nonsense.
Pretty brutal. So yes, as you know, Donald Trump had that Twitter Spaces conversation with Elon Musk. It was down for 40 minutes in just one glitch after another. Musk baselessly blamed it on like external DDoS attacks, but reportedly Twitter insiders anonymously said that was nonsense. It was just a technical failure of the likes that happened during the Republican primary when Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida launched his Republican presidential campaign on Twitter and kind of ran into the same issues. And then Miller's right. On the substance, Donald Trump really didn't offer anything new, exciting, or inclusive in a way that would expand his base. And I think even Tomi Lahren recognizes it because she laughed at Tim Miller's pretty harsh jokes. I think it's a tacit admission that it was pretty disastrous. Then the topic turned to former President Trump's policies.
What's his healthcare plan? Is he planning on cutting spending or increasing spending like he did last time? Is he going to increase the debt or cut the debt? Like, does he have a climate plan? Does he not have a climate plan? You really think you know all of Donald Trump's positions?
Well, listen, first of all, he wants to get rid of an electric vehicle mandate. So he's got that policy position that's out there. He does believe in mass deportation, whether you like it or not. He's put it out there. What his foreign policy... I don't
really get that as a conservative thing. I do kind of wonder why you're so excited about that. I mean, to me, a small government conservative is like really wants a bunch of jackbooted thugs, like pulling people over based on the color of their skin and demanding papers and kicking them out of the country. Like that's what we're going to do. We're going to deport millions of people. That's conservative, small government conservative.
I'm going to tell you, Tim, what's going on here. So first of all, illegal immigration is not a race. It's an activity. So I don't care what your race is. I don't care if you're blonde with green eyes like I am. If you're in the country illegally, you probably need to get the hell out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just when they do the ads about illegal immigration, you always see people blonde with green eyes on the TV.
They can only show
who they're going to deport.
You can only.
So it's pretty funny. So a couple of things. It is true that Donald Trump really doesn't speak particularly well on policy. He doesn't have a robust policy agenda. He didn't in 2020 and 2016 either. It was just memes and catchphrases, build the wall. I love the fact that Miller hit on the fact that, again, these are two nominal conservatives. Tomi Lahren doesn't just claim to be a MAGA Republican. She claims to be a conservative. Tim Miller is a conservative Republican who just happens to be never Trump. So there should be some sense of shared values here. And he tries to appeal to it. He's like, listen, Donald Trump, what's he going to do? Going to cut the deficit, going to cut the debt? When in fact he added to it. He added $8 trillion, the single greatest contribution in a 4-year period, greater than anything President Biden has offered or President Obama. so on and so forth. Trump was fiscally irresponsible by conservatives' own metrics in terms of cutting taxes and maintaining and increasing spending, right? That is the very definition of conservative fiscal irresponsibility. And by that definition, Trump was just worse than everybody. And Tomi Lahren doesn't even address it. She sidesteps it because she knows she can't defend Trump in terms of his profligacy. So great performance there by Tim Miller. Then the topic turns to healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're not mystified by it, then we have to go back to, Medicare for all and abolish ICE. And
she's offering, you want her to be the things that you like the least.
That's just what she
and that's
is.
fine. It's okay. You have a right to try to do that. Just like the Democrats are going to talk about how J.D. Vance thought that Donald Trump was Hitler and a traitor and a douche and a bad Christian and all the other things that he said about Donald Trump. So that's fine. You can talk about that. But on all these issues on healthcare, they've talked about how they're trying to lower prescription drug costs. They've said that they're not planning on going back to Medicare for all. That's what
that
they've
was
talked
just in
about
2019. So
what's Donald Trump's healthcare plan? I mean, this is just silly that you're like, oh, we don't know what Kamala's healthcare plan is. What's Donald Trump's? He was president for 4 years. He promised a new Obamacare repeal and replace plan every week for 4 years.
Well, we need to get repeal and replace. I mean, listen.
Oh, really? We're still doing that?
No, we still do need to do that, but.
So again, this is a weakness of Lahren. So, Republicans talk a good game about Donald Trump's really good record, but the best parts of Trump's record were mere continuations of President Obama's record. So the economy, they're like, listen, between January 2017 and like December 2019, the economy was great. They want to shave off that last year because of the COVID pandemic, even though it was Donald Trump's job to manage that pandemic and he did a terrible job. They want you to grade him on a curve, and they want you to pretend that Trump inherited nothing from President Obama, that he just single-handedly forged the United States and the United States economy single-handedly, except again that last year, then you don't need to grade him for it. Then it was everybody else's fault. But when it actually comes to his record, they can't defend it. So they're talking about healthcare, and what Miller is hitting her on is, well, listen, what's Trump's healthcare plan? He ran on repealing and replacing Obamacare, and he failed, even when he had Republican majorities in the House and the Senate and a sympathetic conservative majority in the United States Supreme Court. So he had all the advantages and he failed because he's so stupid and divisive and incompetent. So what's he going to do? She doesn't want to address that. She doesn't want to address the fact that Obama got the ACA passed, and under President Biden, the ACA has been expanded. More Americans are covered under the Affordable Care Act. And poll after poll after poll shows that a decisive majority of Americans like the ACA. They would rather have the ACA than have it taken down under Trump. So it's politically stupid to campaign on repealing Obamacare. And again, he didn't even get it done. That's why he's laughing. And that's why Lahren has no, rebuttal to it. She can't refute the fact that Donald Trump has unpopular ideas and he's really stupid at implementing them. So great performance in that respect. The topic turns to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Vice President Harris's running mate, the conspiracy theory that he's engaged in stolen valor. And then the topic turns to other Republicans who have turned against Donald Trump.
Tim Walz, do you think that the whole stolen valor thing is going to be a problem?
As somebody who did not serve, I feel like very unsuited to criticizing him. I also am not, I don't like it when the progressives are out there and like J.D. Vance was just a public affairs guy. He didn't really serve. I don't like judging people that served. I respect it. I had Adam Kinzinger on the pod last week, who's also a National Guardsman, who was very defensive of Walz, who said, Walz, you can retire after 20 years. He did 24 years. So he did more than what was called for. He was there for 4 years after 9/11. So I kind of defer to Adam's judgment on this.
Yeah, Adam. I mean, Adam is he's one disgruntled fella. I will say that.
So? He seems pretty happy whenever he's on my podcast. He seems pretty joyous.
Him and Liz Cheney, they are disgruntled. But listen, that's fine. I'm not here to debate the merits of Kinzinger and Cheney. I know that it's so funny to me because the Democrat,
they sleep really good at night, Tommy. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people that know that they have to defend a bad guy and Donald Trump that are actually disgruntled and feel kind of dark in their soul. And I think that Adam and Liz feel really good about their choices.
You
to be
think
honest.
so? Well, I mean, whatever you think, it's not up to me to decide what's in their heart or in their soul. So they can do and say whatever they please.
So What's so funny about this is, again, Republicans like to claim that they're the party of free thinkers and dissent, right? That they're the party of freedom. And yet when it comes to Republicans like Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, Kinzinger, a veteran of the National Guard and the Air Force, a fighter pilot, and Liz Cheney, basically Republican royalty, daughter of Dick Cheney, a principled conservative to the extent that, she's consistent in her beliefs. But because they criticize Donald Trump, they're persona non grata. None of that matters. They're evil. They're basically commie Marxist Democrats. But I want to remind you, because I love bringing this up. It's so funny. We always win this debate. They always lose this debate. Adam Kinzinger voted with Donald Trump when Trump was president and Kinzinger was a member of Congress 90% of the time. More than most currently loyal MAGA Republicans. Interesting. 99% of the time during the 115th Congress, and then it slowly reduced in the 116th to 83%. Overall, in aggregate, 90%, more than most, more than Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and others. 90%. That's how loyal of a Republican Adam Kinzinger was to Donald Trump. Liz Cheney, even more. 93% in aggregate. 93% of the time she voted in favor of Donald Trump's position. That just goes to show how loyal they were. But because they principally disagree with Trump, because of course he's not a conservative, he's a malignant narcissist, an ideologically inconsistent populist who just recognizes that the Republican Party better lends itself to stupidity and cultishness and is therefore a better vector by which he can aggrandize himself, simply because they eventually recognize it. And listen, I think it's great that they came out and publicly turned from Trump, but let's be clear. It was really stupid of both of them to fall for Trump in the first place, given that Trump is not some sort of Machiavellian schemer. He was a blatant moron, narcissistic populist from the beginning, and they thought they could use him. Very stupid on their part, and they should be mocked for it, but also credited for turning against it. Tomi Lahren offers no room for that. Kinzinger's military service, his history as a principled conservative Republican loyal to Trump, same thing with Cheney, none of that matters. So very interesting stuff, and I'm glad that Miller pushed back. Last clip here on the subject of patriotism.
I think that they should just embrace the flag and embrace this country and what makes this country great.
So wait a second here. I'm confused. I love embracing the flag, but it's only been about 4 years, actually exactly 4 years, since your party told me that the flag was oppressive and that America was oppressive and racist. So I'm confused. Now y'all love the flag again?
You got to get off the internet, Tommy. It's your party. You find like the weirdest far leftists, and you're like, this represents the whole Democratic Party. Joe Biden loves America and ice cream, and he had a lot of veterans at his convention. I think that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have given a very uplifting pro-America speech. They've never turned the flag upside down like a lot of Stop the Steelers did, and like Sam Alito's wife did, because they were upset about the fake election fraud. So I just think you're wrong. I think they love America how it is. They love that it's diverse. They love all our culture. They don't get really sad about Disney having a lesbian kiss or a Bud Light can. They love Bud Light. They love Disney. They love America. And I think that's what they should talk about at the convention.
Great stuff. Love this from Tim Miller. Love it. It's delivered so effectively well. He has such a command of the facts and also such an instinct for exposing Republican hypocrisy because, again, he is a Republican. He is a conservative Republican. He's intimately familiar with the things that trigger and animate them. And he's right. Donald Trump is the one who campaigns on making America great again, implying that it wasn't great before him. It wasn't great after him. It's only great when he becomes president. So if you're really a patriot who loves your country, then you should be, diametrically opposed to that sort of rhetoric and those sort of sentiments. So America's only great when you're in charge of it? That's really cultish, creepy, anti-American, and pathetic. President Biden, the leader of the Democratic Party, even now, even though Vice President Harris is the presumptive nominee, Joe Biden is president. He's her boss. He's the most powerful person on earth, more powerful than her. And he is the leader of the Democratic Party. He even tweeted this recently, damn proud to be an American. Sure seems patriotic to me. He doesn't say damn proud to be an American as long as I'm president or as long as I win elections or as long as my party does. Just seems to be kind of a blanket affirmation to the extent that that sort of patriotism is something you enjoy. I'll also point out, won't even play the clip, but that Governor Josh Shapiro, Democrat, has pointed out that Donald Trump repeatedly quotes talk shit. He talks shit about the United States of America. So Miller's point is, yeah, you can find people online. You can even find progressive commentators who constantly bash America or criticize America. They're out there. But the Democratic Party, in terms of its elected officials and the quote unquote mainstream of the Democratic Party, they're quite patriotic. Now, the difference is, there are two differences. Number one, patriotism doesn't equate to blind love. Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire was like, Democrats really aren't American because, like, they want to change America so much. And imagine, in your marriage, if you tell your wife you love her, but you want to change everything about her, you don't really love her. Yeah, but America's not my wife. America's not my spouse, and America's not your spouse either. America is your home. It's more analogous to a home. So imagine that your home has issues. You love your home, but your home needs to be remodeled, renovated, or expanded, or perhaps all three. You don't ignore it. Simply, you don't ignore it out of the sense of, well, if I really love my home, I just accept it the way it is. No, you constantly work to maintain and improve it. That's America. America has a profoundly checkered past. We have enormous accomplishments, enormous strides. In various ways, we've come so far, but we have a history with terrible points in it that need to be reckoned with, need to be acknowledged. And people who don't acknowledge those things need to be ruthlessly mocked. And there are still things about the United States that are quite inexplicably, inexcusably deficient that need to be changed. And thank God we have a party that isn't like the Republican Party, who turns a blind eye to all of America's problems, which are there, and wants to exacerbate those problems, and then hates this country just whenever they're out of power. It's a very strange sense of patriotism. I would argue that the Democratic Party is much more truly patriotic and has a much healthier sense of patriotism than MAGA Republicans. It's just my opinion. But overall, great performance by Tim Miller. Terrible performance by Tomi Lahren, MAGA Republican Fox News host. But hey, kudos to her for being brave enough to host it. Let me know what you think in the comments.